Hey everyone, I'm out of the office today, but I wanted to jump in and say that this is actually a compilation of videos from our social media Kickstarter for Orthodontist course. Now, if you want to join that course, all the links are below. If you're an orthodontist or another dental professional, it doesn't matter. All of the strategies in there will apply to you. Now, in this video, we're going to show you the best ways to set up your Instagram, how to get maximum exposure, and all the best tips and tricks, especially in the modern day. But if you'd like more information of how to apply this to Facebook, other social platforms, and how to have success in general on social media with your business, make sure you sign up for the Kickstarter course. It's completely free, and the link is below in the description. Thanks so much, and we'll see you on the other side.
Alrighty, folks, welcome back. In this one, we're talking about Instagram. We love Instagram. I got my phone. We're going to talk about it here on my phone because that's where everybody visits Instagram. That's where they spend their time. And we're going to audit a few different accounts here. You can see them up on my screen right now. So let's start out with, the classic Dr. Dovie Pereira, Pereira Orthodontics here on Instagram. So the first thing I can see here is his name. And then we've got obviously the classification, orthodontist. Board certified orthodontist, top 1% Invisalign provider, Diamond Plus, the address, phone number, and then we've got the link, which takes us to his Invisalign provider bio. So this is where you would be able to do a Invisalign smile transformation thing. Interesting choice on the link there. I wonder how well it does for him. Then we've got his story highlights. We've got message, contact, and here, if I click there, it'll show me the suggested accounts. And then I want you to notice on the grid here, he's got picture on the left side. And then in the middle, he's got a before and after or a picture of a tooth. And then he's got another picture on the other side. So he's got a pretty simple pattern going on here, at least in the last 18 or so photos that he's put out. But before, you can see it wasn't really following a pattern at all. So when it comes to landing pages on Instagram, this is pretty much all there is, guys. There's not a ton else. Some people might come to your IGTV. Some people might come to the photos of what you've been tagged in, which is great because this sort of like communicates to Instagram that other people are tagging you. You're a real account. People are actually visiting you, When you look at this account and you see the amount of followers, it's easy to wonder, like, what is he doing differently that I haven't done? And to be honest, he isn't doing a ton of it right now. If you scroll all the way back to all of his posts, like a long time ago, you're going to see everything he did to grow to where he's at now. And in addition to that, a lot of what he's done is on stories. That's a lot of how he's grown. And you're not going to be able to see all those stories unless he actually puts them here on the story highlights. So he may have a ton of followers now, but it doesn't mean that he's necessarily following the same practices that got him there. Because once you're at 34,000 followers as an orthodontist, you don't need that many more followers. It's pretty good at 34,000. All right, moving on, let's check out Orthodontist Wilmington. This is Wilmington Orthodontic Center. Orthodontist, we're an orthodontic practice with a commitment to providing the highest level of orthodontic care possible to children, teenagers, and adults. They've got their website there and then the address as well in Delaware. Then they've got a couple story highlights, and as you can see, they're kind of mixing stock photos like this one with a real photo of a patient getting there on D-band day or whatever it is. Pretty good. I obviously never recommend stock photos, but nothing too bad going on here. The major difference I see between this one and this one that just catches my eye right as I click on it is the emojis, which I really love how Dr. Pereira's done that there. Now let's check out Frost Smiles. Very simple here. Schedule your free virtual smile transformation consultation. And then they've got a link tree instead of just a regular link. So if we click here, there's a few different options here. This one's kind of vibrating, saying, hey, click on me, but there's a few other ones on here. So first we've got Orthotown Magazine, April 2021. I'm wondering why they haven't put schedule your virtual consultation at the top as the first option. So if they click on Orthotown Magazine, April 2021, they're gonna see, all right, these guys were featured in Orthotown Magazine. Pretty cool. I can read about them, see why their office is awesome. It's actually not a bad idea to kind of have that pre-frame there. And a pre-frame just refers to the fact that somebody is getting talked up by somebody else. So if there's a speaker at a conference, for example, a lot of times they'll have somebody introduce them and say, this person has done this thing and this thing. They're an entrepreneur, an investor, an author. They're amazing. We can't wait to have them on board. So with that pre-frame or that introduction, more people are likely to actually listen to what that speaker has to say. So it's the same concept here. They're kind of getting themselves talked up by Orthotown, and so people think that they're legit. Then there's we are hiring, pretty important. Most orthodontic offices are hiring pretty much all the time, so it's important to have that there. And then order Dr. Frost's book. If I click here, Amazon, and we've got the Artist Orthodontist paperback, $15. So that's great. Trust me, you don't have to write a book to have a successful orthodontic practice, but I think they've thought through what they've put in this link tree. It's nice, it's not too overwhelming. There could be arguments made that only one thing is better here, but obviously this is working for them. So then we've got their address there, which is great. Following message, contact, the suggested things there. And if I click contact, it's going to pop up call or email there. Let's go back to Dr. Pereira and just see what happens when we click contact. Same thing there. Go back here to Frost Smiles, and we can also message them. Now this, they've put all of these story highlight covers on here, which is great. It looks pretty. It's not totally necessary, but it looks good, and you can tell they actually care about their Instagram. And they've also got a current story going on. If so, I click on this, I'm going to be able to see what's actually going on their story today or within the last 24 hours, right? Then we come in here, we've got Reels, we've got IGTV, and then we've also got photos that they've been tagged in. So if we scroll down here, you can see there's not a ton of like rhyme or reason to what's happening here. It does look like they have this diagonal thing going on with these pictures, which is great. And yeah, honestly, you don't need that much of an aesthetic here, but just something as we look through these examples that I want to point out. So lastly, let's check out Amazing Smiles Orthodontics. So here, I would not recommend doing this. If you have multiple locations, don't just put the addresses all in your bio. You should have information about who you are, not just your address here. Then it's got their website here. They've got one story highlight, which doesn't really look that relevant at all. And then it's just all stock photos. Except here, it looks like they sign up for a stock photo company and maybe stop posting their own stuff. And here there's a few pictures that look a little bit better. So overall, if I'm visiting this page, not really very likely. I would think out of these three, I like Dr. Pereira's the most. It seems the most personal, but Frost Smiles is doing a really good job with their IGTV, with their reels, all that kind of thing. So they've got a leg up on Pereira Orthodontics there. Just some audits here to get you guys thinking about what you might want to do. Now we'll talk about the most important aspects in the next video. The first most important aspect of your Instagram landing page is your profile picture. Now I'm going to show you an example here that should illustrate why this is so important. So here we are on my phone, and you can see I'm following 4 people on this new account, this dummy account that we created. I've got Pereira Orthodontics, I've got Dino Watt, who's an orthodontic consultant, Trevin Peterson, he just has an example of the profile picture I wanted, so I followed him, and then Frost Smiles. You can see the 2 on the edges do not have the extra circle that the 2 in the middle do. Dino's is yellow, Trevin's is the same color as the Instagram one. So the reason that these 2 have that extra circle is because they've just built that into their profile picture, so it looks like they always have a story. So I'll show you why this is so powerful. All right, so here we are looking at the story, then we exit off, and you can see it still sort of looks like he has a story there. But if I click on Pereira Orthodontics, and I go through both of these, it's not as enticing to click on his profile picture again. So this is just a little hack that you can add to your Instagram to make more people click on your profile picture more often, which will boost you in the algorithm. So now let's hop into my computer and I'll show you how to set this up. All right, so the first thing you want to do is hop in here to Canva and create a design that's 110 pixels by 110 pixels. You could make it bigger as long as it's square, but it doesn't make any difference because Instagram's only going to show it as 110 by 110. So you're going to create this, download it. So I've got mine downloaded here. As you can see, it's really small. So then we'll take that to a tool called unilink.us. And as you can see here, I've uploaded this photo. And then here I can select between all of these different options when it comes to the circle around my profile picture. So let's say I like this one that's got the half and half. That looks cool. And it really fits my brand as well. So I'm just going to take that. I can just drag it off. If you click download, it will charge you. So you can pay for it, but it's not going to be any different than you just dragging it off the website there. All right, now let's go to Instagram.com and upload my profile picture. So I'll go to Instagram.com, log in, and come here to my profile. And if I click edit profile and change profile photo, I can select this one from my desktop. Let's see, it's this one. And there you go. So now if we go look on mobile, it's going to look great. There we go. It looks really cool. does look a little bit blown out on desktop, so you might want to make this bigger. Also, this picture isn't as high resolution, so make sure you have a high resolution picture. And then it might be worth paying for the download on Unilink so that you can have a higher quality image. But as you can see, it looks good. And if I add a story to this on my, let's hop into my phone and I'll show you what it looks like if I add a story. All right, so I'm just gonna click here on add. There we go. Take a picture, add it to my story, and now you can see I've got that outline and then I've got the other picture there, which looks good. So that's just a little hack to help you have a better profile image, more clicks on it. Make sure, again, you've got a picture where they can actually see your face. I would recommend doing the exact same one you have on Facebook so people can see you on both places and their brain will be able to identify you quickly as the same person. So the second most important aspect of your Instagram landing page is going to be your bio. So let's hop into my Instagram page here on my phone so you can see. So you'll see I've updated the bio here, and I'm going to go over the kind of the psychology and everything that I did here. But one thing to keep in mind is I've listed this as the second most important thing, but really this is all just the most important part. Your profile picture and your bio really goes to show whether or not you care about your Instagram, as well as the posts, and that's going to be our next most important thing. But just keep in mind that it all goes together. It all should be cohesive. So let's hop into edit profile here, and you'll see all the options that we have available. So we've got pronouns we don't need to add because we're a business. When it comes to your website, I wouldn't recommend sending them to one specific place because there's so many diverse people with different questions coming to your Instagram profile. Just sending them to your website is a good idea because they might have tons of different questions. And if you just send them to one page, they'll get frustrated and they won't know how to navigate. So make sure that you send them to your home page. Then we've got your bio. As you can see here, this looks pretty good. Your friendly neighborhood orthodontist. So this is the first thing. Some people say board certified or whatever you want to say to kind of describe yourself. And then I want to challenge you to put a unique selling proposition in this next part. So unique selling proposition, or USP, just means something that sets you apart from your competitors. So here I've put weekend and evening appointments. Dr. Dovie Pereira puts that he's top diamond 1% plus Invisalign provider, and that's impressive to people. So you've got to put something that appeals to your ideal customer, which you should know if you've done all the work in week 2. So I've got the address listed here in this bio, and that's just because I don't have access yet to the feature that lets me list the address under everything else. So I'll show you that on the OrthoPatients page here in a minute. But first, let's talk about this next line I've got on here. So it says DM us to learn more. So why would I put DM us instead of just visit our website? It's the same concept that we've talked about before, that people want a low barrier to entry way to ask a question. And if you have someone manning this inbox, which you can do all in your Facebook business page, you don't even have to be on Instagram, then you can close a lot of people through these messages. Another option to put here would be to put text us to learn more. And then put a kind of an arrow pointing towards the text button, and I'll show you where that goes. So let's go over to the OrthoPatients page. We're going to click Edit Profile. We're going to scroll down, and here we're going to click Contact Options. So here you can see we've got our email and we've also got a phone number. And if you click on the phone number, you can choose whether that is going to show up as call or text. So if we go back, save this and go back to our first page, if I click Contact, it's going to say text and then email here. So if I click on this, it will take me to my email app. If I click on this, it will take me to my texting app so that I can text that number. So if I come back and add an address in here, then we go back, you'll see that it'll add that to the bottom of your Instagram page. This isn't available on the other page yet because I don't have any followers. Instagram's kind of seeing if they trust me. So this will pop up for you if you have more than 10 followers likely. Then I'm going to come into Edit Profile again and show you, if I take off this email and I click Save, what used to be the contact button is now a text button. And so people can text us directly there. And that will be the same thing if I took out the text button and just left the email, then all it would have is an email button there. I would recommend having the text button. I think it's great because people want to text more than they want to email. Email gets lost And so if you can collect their phone numbers and then follow up with text message reactivation, which we'll teach you in the coming weeks, very, very powerful. So I would keep that text button if I were you. Just a note on the WhatsApp business phone, if you get a lot of people that are wanting to contact you via WhatsApp, if you have a high Hispanic population, WhatsApp is very popular there. Anybody really outside of the US uses WhatsApp for texting. And so if you'd like to add that in, go ahead and do it. You know in your area if that's going to be more popular or not. And then you can also say, use this info for your Facebook profile. If you come in here, it's just going to sync the information between your Instagram and your Facebook profile. So if you change something on Instagram, it'll change on Facebook as well. You're welcome to do it. It's also not that big of a deal. And you likely want a little bit of different settings on each one. So it's just up to you. Next in these settings, we've got the action buttons. None are active for us on Instagram, and we've talked about order now, book now, reserve. You could add these to your profile if you'd like, send people specifically to a page where they can book. As I've mentioned before, usually people aren't quite ready for that and they need a lower barrier to entry, and the more options you give them, the more stressed out they're going to be and the less likely they are to take any of those options. Now let's go back to profile display. I can turn off display contact info and display category label. I can turn these off or on. I would recommend keeping them on. So you'll see if I turn this one off, it will take my text button and my address off, and if I take this one off, it will take off that little marketing agency or for you orthodontist label. All right, that's it for the bio and the call to action buttons and everything. Now we're going to cover story highlights and posts in the next lectures. The third most important aspect of your Instagram page is your posts. And we're going to cover these in more depth in just a couple lectures. You can look ahead. But I just wanted to put a note in here and make sure you know that when you go to your profile, when someone goes to your profile, that is, and they look at your bio, they look at your profile picture, the next thing they're going to look at is the most recent posts you've put up. Scroll down a little bit and see what you are all about. So it's important that you protect your reputation by having good posts on there all the time. So let's talk about story highlights, the fourth most important aspect of your Instagram landing page, and the last one in this section. So a story highlight is just that little thing that pops up on the bottom, as you can see here in Frost Smiles. These things here that allow people to rewatch stories that you've posted in the past. So there are multiple ways to post these. First, if you just click on the story you have for that day, you'll click highlight, and then you can add the name of this highlight, name, click add. And now that's going to show up here on this part of our profile. If you need to add from an old Instagram story, you'll come here to archive, and then you'll click here, and you could click highlight and then add that to a new highlight. If you need to do something with post archive, or maybe you're stuck on post archive here, just make sure you switch over to stories archive and you will see those. You can also sort by date and location here, which is great. All right, so that's how to create the Instagram highlight. Now let's talk about how to add these cover photos like Frost has on here if you'd like those. I don't think they're totally necessary. In fact, it might be better not to have them because people like seeing other people's faces and they might be curious about what's happening in a certain photo. Let's look at Dr. Pereira, for example. As you can see, it's just pictures of him, things he's pointing at, face, this, him and his son. It's not very important, but if you'd like to add them and you want to have consistent branding, you want it to look good, then you can do that. And the way you would do that is coming in here, clicking add to story. I'm going to take this picture. I just pulled this off of Canva. So on Canva, I'll show you real quick on my computer. You can see that I've got an Instagram story dimension here, and the way that you do that is just by searching Instagram story, and then you'll be able to create a blank one and continue to build this, what you see on my phone right now. So if I click here and I post that to my story, then I come to that story and I click highlight and I add it to this one. This first one's still going to be on that highlight, but I can change this one to the cover. If I click edit cover and then select that, kind of drag it around, click done, and there you go. All right, with all of that out of the way, what are we gonna put on these Instagram story highlights? There's so many different options, and if you go over to someone like Frost Smiles, they've got probably 15 of these. I think this is way too many. Nobody's gonna go through all of them. So my advice is to keep things as simple as possible while showing the behind the scenes of your practice. When somebody clicks on these story highlights, they want their questions answered, but they also want to see what are these people like? And your story highlights are a great opportunity to show them what goes on in your practice every single day. So we'll talk about more specifics because we have to post stories in order to have story highlights in the story posting section of this week. But just so you know, keep it simple. I wouldn't do more than 5 story highlights on here. Thanks so much for tuning into this video, and we'll see you in the posting section. Can't wait to get into it.